Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? So good to see you. It is Thursday all day long as I get over here. I push that button, you push that button, and it's all good. So, welcome everyone. Greetings. Favor be to us all. It's like that shield thing. And nothing missing, nothing broken. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for subscribing. And thank you for making this possible. This is where we come together most days at this time and have a chance for open, intellectual, spiritual, soulish, cosmic conversation. And it's fun. So welcome everybody. Thank everyone in the chat room. Gilbert, how you doing, brother? And Linda Espinoza, how are you, dear? Deborah Sloan, much thanks to you, dear. And Penn Grady and Lori. Bernadette, good to see you. Lost in Space, good to see you. Rick, what's up? So the sun is reaping havoc on everything. Isn't that the case? Much love, Chloe. How are you, dear? Susie Q, what's up? Good to see you. Uh, so it's Thursday, and the realm of this realm is so weird. It is so weird. Laura, good to see you as well. Greeting Earthbounders. Yeah, we're definitely Earthbounders. Could you imagine if the opposite was true? If we were actually ever allowed out of the cell, I mean, our species, which I don't know is possible, like the condition we are now, we would be considered a virus, But anyway, I digress. Um, is that what if we were the aliens and we took over the terrestrials? And the reason why things are such a mess is that because we aren't the original inhabitants. We terraformed the planet for us, and the planet is saying, guess what? New tenants moving in. So anyway, something to think about it. The Chad, what's up? Good to see you, William. Hello, New Yoda. Good to see you as well. Lioness of Gaia. Good to see you. Isn't it interesting, the synchronicity of our individual lives and then connected to this group that we call a tribe? Because we are a tribe. And I can't think of a more profound when we think about the soul tribe. It's goes back to Brian. Yeah. And here we are today. Yeah, and here we are today. Morgan, what's up? Good to see you. Darlene, hello, sweetie. What's up? Well, maybe we aren't the originals. You know what? I think we may be the imposters. And if we're not, Darlene, then here's the thing. You think about it. I think the imposters are among us. And the real mind coitus of all this is that even if you know, how do you know? I mean, this is getting remember the body snatchers? Yeah. Check to see if there's any pods next to you and get the hell out. So good. Anyway, John, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah. So much going on. So humanity on the precipice of extinction. So here's a little FYI. I had some things to do yesterday, but then I had this individual who, former colleague, and I mean, hadn't seen this individual for a long time. In fact, last time that we really were engaged on, a professional level, I was, doing work for the Federal Reserve on debit card adoption. As part of the company, we brought pay to the table to America. We were the first company to successfully integrate a fat client to a thin client application on an enterprise level in a restaurant. And so out of the blue, get this call, and we conversed. And he said, "Listen, man," he said, "I know you're like in a totally new, different world than where you were." And I said, "Yeah, I've moved on." He said, "Well," he said, "I just want to let you know there are some," he says, it can't be stopped. He says, "But there are some changes that are or that have," he says, "Listen, you were part of that, you know, gosh, wow, nearly a decade and a half ago." And the thing that I left with is that there's some things that they're going to impact all of us, and it don't look pretty. One of the things I know about currency, whether it be fiat currency, whether it be legitimate currency, is that it's how we do commerce. And particularly the last 100 years, I'd say 100 years is because 100 years ago, and this is what really got me thinking about this. 100 years ago, folks, to the day, this whole month and how we're moving into 2024, where the events that would lead to the events of 1928, and then we had the Great Crash. Those things were already in process. And if you study money and how it evolves, a lot of what happened with the stock market crash, what they're called the Great Depression, was a result of policy, but the policy was designed to bring in essence, a new currency. So in order to bring in a new currency, you have to collapse the current one. And usually that is such a disruptor that it changes everything. I mean, from politics, religion, forms of government, commerce, and just get ready, folks, because the current currency that we here in America and the world has known, since post World War II, and that was part of the deal. That's why the United States had the currency exchange. We controlled it for decades, but that's all changed. Now, I'm saying all this because I contend they had more restraint back in the early 20th century. There was still this sense of morality. As a society, we had a moral compass, not saying it was right, not saying it's wrong, but it was something that guided us as a culture and a society. And when those abrupt changes came in, and they were only abrupt when the switch was pulled, so to speak. Right now, there are things in process that can't be turned around. I'm just telling you, they can't. And each and every one of us have a personal responsibility to make your own decisions, but determine what's best for you and your family and loved ones. But I'm telling you, it's coming. It can't be stopped. And it's going to upend things. Now, the problem is that the timing couldn't be worse. The only thing that took us out of the Great Depression was World War II, which leads me into the next segment on this. According to whether you listen to Dolly, whether you listen to Brad, whether you listen to whoever, Siri, AI now has a pretty good grip on us humans as far as our fears and presumptions are concerned. Now, when this change begins to take effect, For people in the United States and those dealing in the commerce area, it's going to be a shock. It's going to be a real shock. But it's interesting because apparently this has been predicted. Now, AI, understands what apocalypse means, understands what cataclysm means. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know how many of you checked out on Monday's video when I left the link to Nectar, Remember the Future. You really, if you've never listened to the song, even if you've listened to it, like many of us I know, hey, Gilbert, what's up? Hey, Carolyn, good to see you. Robert V is in the house. Read the words and watch the link I left. I mean, holy cow. And so here you see AI painting now. And I was raised in an environment of discipline. You know why we had the best bands? You know why the bands of the 60s and 70s have never been able to be copied, imitated? It's because we were taught a discipline. We were taught another foreign language. We were taught sheet music. And if you listen to the early bands, I mean, that's where where the organ came in, the Hammond organ. A lot of that came in because of of church. Yeah, really weird. But I digress. In this discipline, because music is an art is music, we were taught that, as you go through that, consciousness, sentientness of what makes us unique is that we can paint. We can express ourselves in art. And it is said that art is the expression of intelligence, expression of consciousness. Well, this brings up a real interesting thing. By the way, I'm going to get an update on our little project, but I want to share this with you, and I want to make sure I get it pulled up here. Let me get over here for a second. Y'all just go amongst yourself here. No problem. Yeah, there we go. Far out, man. So how y'all doing? So good to see you. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. There we are. All right. So you artisans out there, which is everyone, if you're here in this group, you're an artisan. Yeah. And some of us have an art that can't be malleable into what we would call, tangible, visual. But, and again, let me get over here. So this is AI's interpretation of what awaits us. Weird, isn't it? And I contend AI, I've taken enough trips on psychedelics. I've been out there, folks. Many of you have been as well. This realm, to me, when you start seeing what AI is painting these days, that's surrealism on an unreal scale. But this is how it sees it. Interesting, isn't it? It seems to be able to get architecture better than it does us. It perceives us as, well, you can look at the paintings of how it perceives us. Like I said, man, I've been out in that realm, and, it's like, wow, is that where AI resides? Is that, people say, well, AI isn't intelligent. Yeah, it is. Now, whether it's sentient or not, that's, you can argue whatever position you have. But if it can take interpretive text, words, and then within its, binary language, it's machine code, and it can start using its imagination. I was taught that was one of the gifts of the gods to humanity, was our imagination. Without imagination, we would have never progressed. we would probably have died off much, much sooner. But again, strange interpretation. And I thought this one was strange because look at the center building. Yeah. How many of you see it? World Trade Center. I mean, this thing has got, and if you just take time to study how this machine is expressing its interpretation of text, it's quite remarkable. Fascinating, in fact. It's like, whoa. So having said that, give me 1 second as I get out of there and get back here. Hi, folks. See, Karen says binary using Boolean logic. Interesting. Yeah. And you see, it's interesting. Hey, Claudette, good to see you, Blazing River. So AI is seeing this. And I'm going, okay. And at the same time, we are in a place that, wow, I mean, what is coming? It can't be stopped. And, your different interpretation as to, balance sheets, budgets, money, eating. There is something again going on. It's systematic. I mean, it's like boom, 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 and you're going, okay. So AI. Now, the world, in a recent, I think it was was it a Harris poll? One of the polls asked people what they thought where we are right now, because we're in history. You and I will be written about this time. We are well past the threshold of returning back. Our species has been changed. And we've done it to ourselves. Unless you go by the thought that, well, if it isn't humans in control, then what is in control? And if what is in control, is it really, if it's not human, then does it have empathy? Is there something else, an agenda that is afoot to have sapiens go the way of the Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon? I mean, go back wherever you want to go back on the human tree. Other genesis of us are no longer here. Now, we carry their essences within us. We know that. Okay, that's kind of weird, because if you begin to think about that, now remember, there seems to be a controller up here. I don't know whether it's ET. I don't know if it's alien. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't think any of us die either, because if we did, we most likely would kill it. And it knows that. It's what it fears about us. We're savages, bet your ass on that. In fact, that's their problem, or it, they, who, I don't know. Their greatest fear is that we will become what we were supposed to become. But we can never become that. That's a dream from a past world that's not going to be a reality in this one. It's just not. And so, whatever it may be, it would appear that for us, we seem to be a manipulated species. It seems that we can't be trusted. It seems that we are, by most definitions, in a very embryonic stage of development. And it seems that there is something fundamentally wrong with us. We've done this to ourselves before. And so, if we are, in fact, on this precipice, I mean, some are saying this is the sixth extinction, that we're so far down the line that we can't return back. Now, you may have your beliefs and whatever that is. That's cool. I mean, that's a great thing about an individual's consciousness. Allow me to digress here a second. I was in the grocery store again and ended up having this conversation with a gentleman. And it was one that moved him as well. But when you have an opportunity to give hope, to speak a different perspective, and when you approach this with the kindness, and in this case, this gentleman was hurting. He lost both his wife and his daughter in a very short period of time to cancer. And he said, I prayed, brought in the people to pray, and he said, they died. And I said, well, they're continuing their journey. And he said, and he looked at me and he said, is there something more than this? And I looked at him straight in the eye. I said, oh, yes, Ken. It is. There's so much more. I said, this is just a mere blink of an eye. I said, the future, I said, is no different than when you first came into this world. I said, your day of death was already determined. And I said, when you pass on, I said, their energy will be there. I said, it's living inside of you now. And you'll be able to contact and connect. And I said, whatever you do after that, I said, Ken, this is only the one of many realms. And he looked at me and he said, you're different. That's what he said. He said, you're very different. Anyway. Well, Claudette, I would like that too. Absolutely. And I did. And I gave him, I told him, I said, well, come and check out the channel. I mean, we discuss, and I said, we're philosophers. I didn't tell him about the naked philosophers, but I said, we're a group of philosophers that come together and we speak, on ideas, thoughts, unrestricted. And I said, these are people that I said, there's healing in this group. And he said, well, I'll check it out, and wrote down the whole thing. So, yeah. And people, I as I walked out of the grocery store, you start tearing up because you start thinking about this. And I told him, I said, you and I meeting at this juncture, at this place and time, I said, was not coincidental. And I said, whether I ever see you again or not, I said, there are those moments of impact. And I said, Ken, this is one of them. That. Well, Lynn, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. What is that? Yeah, Lady Elliot does. Yeah. It's true. And it's hard for people today, to be real, to show true emotion, to show that empathy, to stop what you had on your agenda and that simple word that you have no idea on the possibilities of the trajectory that could take that soul. One who had just found death and despair with the dwindled hope of something later. You know, folks, that's what we do here. Hey, Mary-Wynn, how you doing, darling? Good to see you. So, as they would say, Lilith, how you doing, darling? Love Lilith. Mm-hmm. I told someone that one time. says, wait a minute, you love the queen, the queen of the damned. I said, damned? I said, I guess it depends on what perspective. I said, I would never be a happy lamb in heaven. Because you know what happens to lambs? Mm-hmm. They become somebody's sacrifice. So, as we continue on to the convo that we're having here, John Price, it's interesting. The one that I go to, their union, they still have them. Yeah. Who'd have thought? Yeah, they got checkers and baggers. Shirley says, I belong in the service of the Queen. Yeah, Chloe. Yeah, this group can do that. And this group has. Over the years, this group has just had enormous impact on countless lives. That's why we're unique. I told Ken that. I said, you're unique. He said, well, I don't know about that. I said, excuse me? I said, is there another one of you walking around? And he says, well, I don't think so. I said, well, then that makes you unique. I said, no one can be you. You, sir, are unique. Now, you're saying this in the grocery store. I didn't care. Turned to find out that we had several of the grocery store employees listening behind us. Well, that was cool, too. Hey, Suzanne, what's up? Good to see you, darling. So, I like that, CJ. If you can't do someone a good turn, then don't do them a bad one. Yeah. So when you slow down, and you listen, and it's all tying into this, close encounter of the fifth kind. If now I saw the comments on the day I did this on Monday, but if you'll email me, because we've already got, I think, a couple dozen people already who've said, yeah, we're going to make this happen. We may find someone who has some property that, will say, hey, we'll open it up and, we can get the view in there. I mean, the possibilities are unlimited. I mean, it's just amazing. I was thinking about what if in different parts of the world, different parts of the group here, got together, and even those who couldn't get together could join, if we could do it live or something like this, kind of connected all around the world. That's what I'm talking about. Brandon Fugel. Yep. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I met Brandon when I was in Salt Lake City years ago. I was chosen in for an investment conference, but that's cool. Said that they're dealing with a precognitive, non-sentient human intelligence. That's deep. That's all I got to say. That is freaking deep. Well, that's cool. How there's a guy. I like that. In Texas, they actually go out into the car. That's cool. Nothing missing, nothing broken. You got that. Yeah, we're going to have Jay on. This is cool. I'm just reading this. How interesting. A precognitive, what was the, I'm going to have to go back and, yeah. human intelligence. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just sitting on that going, huh. Yeah, you have to think about that for a minute. Well, that's interesting. There's a lot of strange stuff on there. I mean, and again, it could be very well that, Mud Fossil University, I mean, the others that, have said that, we don't things ain't what we've been told in the past. We got this idea of this continuity of flow, of continuous flow, and because you can connect that dot to that dot to that dot. And what they're telling us is that you got a problem, because between that dot and that dot, guess what? It went upside down. Okay, fine. So change is coming. AI, and I keep on thinking, all right, so I went out on Monday night. It was a clear night. Tuesday, not so. Last night was and it's interesting because sitting there, getting into that meditative state, clearing the mind. But at the same time, because I'm by myself, you've got cameras, you got night vision, and you're going, and so you have to basically either do one or the other. So, nothing in the flight path, and if you see an aircraft, use common sense. But out where I am, there isn't anything. We're out here, and the laser thing works. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a connection. But I definitely saw. The only thing I could say, I could use the term orb, but that would probably be what it is, because clearly saw it in the my night vision goggles, and I have infrared camera, and boom, it was there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I know for myself, I'm very open to the idea. When I look into the cosmos, I'm not about to think that we're the only planet in the galaxy, in the universe, that has intelligence, because we ain't got much intelligence. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this to ourselves. And we're doing it. That's why I look for so much hope on this. I mean, who knows? Who knows what we could potential? Someone said what the T-shirt said. Do you still talk to Jeffrey? Scott, I haven't reached out to Jeff in a little bit. I'm going to pull him back in. Mushrooms take you there. Just have to be brave and take a... I love that. There we go. Been there, done that. Oh, no, that's just funny. I love that. So the shirt says, I am currently unsupervised. I know it freaks me out too, but the possibilities are endless. That's all I got to say. That's interesting. Bagging you can, or yeah. Yeah, Claudette, I do too. I really do. There has to be. It just, to me, it's like, no way. But here's the thing, keeping back onto the road here. So we seem to be on this precipice. Now, and it's just my opinion, but it looks like someone's pushing us. There was a former administration a while back, and one of the people that worked in the administration was quoted for saying, never miss the opportunity to exploit a crisis. And it's called the nudge factor too. If you don't have someone who agrees with you, fine. If your ideology, in which today, the ideology of today of politics is a religion. It is. Do you think that those people that make these policies that they know are going to harm people, and particularly if they perceive you to be their enemy. And I mean, and they do these things. What God do you think they actually worship or believe in? Now, the interesting thing, a vast majority of them will say that they're Christian. Well, I don't know about them, but I can tell you that ain't the God that is perceived to be the Christian God. Now, it may very well be that those who are in power worship a different deity, a different entity, and maybe the very deity or entity assigned to a religion that is perceived to be one particular personification is in fact the exact opposite. And maybe they are rewarded for their loyalty, their devoted worship to this unseen entity. It's there. We know that that there are places on the earth that where I was taught back in my days in theology and Bible study and teaching to school, depending on, again, your perspective, that there were initially 10 what we would call super intelligent beings that came to this earth found. They found it in the very early stages of its development. And they staked out the 10 different kingdoms. And each one was God. Each one had the ability to create its own species of what was called man. There was a general blueprint, but so the story goes. I don't know. I've heard a lot of different stories. I mean, it's just it's crazy, but it's true. Thank you for hitting the like button. I appreciate that. Someone said, "Thank you for hitting it." Bohemian Grove entity. You know, that's an interesting. It's Lost in Space. It's really. Have you been there? Yeah. Yeah, it's. I've had lunch there. All it was lunch. Knew a person who was a member of the club, and yeah, there's some weird stuff. Now, there was a time when I was heavily involved in politics, and folks, this empath. And the thing about it is, at the time, I really didn't give myself enough attention into the empathic impressions. But I can tell you what I found out very quickly. If you've ever been around senators, congresspeople, judges, state Supreme Court judges, policymakers, A-listed lobbyist groups, and the A-list has their offices right around the Capitol. It's a different God. It's a powerful God. I call it God because that's what they call it. It's not the God of the Bible. It's not the God of the Torah. It's not the God of the Quran. I don't know, maybe one of the gods of the Vedic, but it's here, been here. It kind of manipulated the whole setup. You don't talk about these things. You don't talk about them, but it's there. It's tangible, and something has happened. There is, to use the cliche from Star Wars, there's a disturbance in the Force. And we're about to hit, I think, some serious bumps. Now, Moloch, line of guidance, I'm going to have to tell you something, and I can't say it on here, but I wrote to a conservative talk show, and because they were talking about that subject, and I said, you have no idea what you're dealing with. And in the exchange, they said, well, what do you mean? I said, you don't understand the deity that you're dealing with where that subject is concerned. Powerful one. Powerful. Powerful, I'm telling you. William said, I used to be a state Democratic delegate for the past. Wow, there you go. There you go. Interesting. I love this because, William, I was on the other side. Yeah. And it's a religion, man. I'm telling you. The ideology of today, as I was explaining out, has overtaken common sense. It's overtaken civility. It's overtaken the whole purpose of what government is that when you have a government, you have different parties that say, well, we have what our view is, but what you find out is that you have compromise. Oh, that's long gone. I mean, and we've become so whacked out as a species. I mean, people are walking around today deliberately looking for a fight. And you got to ask yourself, is that normal? I don't think so. So, if ET is real, that aliens are in fact visiting Earth, it seems like there must be this prime directive. Maybe Gene Roddenberry had it right. Now, I don't know if they have gotten involved. A lot, there is the conspiracy theory out there that says, well, the Nazis made a deal. The Vatican made a deal. Eisenhower made a deal. Eisenhower was intimidated. July 7th, 1948, I believe. 48, was it 48 or 47? One of the two. Where the fleets flew over Washington, D.C., hovered over the White House. There wasn't a damn thing we could do about it. Just, hi, how y'all doing up there? Yeah, how you doing? Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. You gotta love it. So now, if ET can't intervene, or if it has, it's screwed it up so bad now, because apparently we are headed for extinction. Recently, I think it was Brad, the chatbot, predicted that we would be in World War III by March of next year. Let me just clarify. We would that the World War III would be initiated. I don't know what World War III would look like. I don't think any of us. And so I thought I would pull up a few of the stories here and see exactly what the hell this thing's got it. So here's one. This is the Daily Star. A supercomputer designed to predict patterns in human civilization has made the terrifying prediction that life as we know it will end by the year 2050. Am I glad I was born in 55, huh? Yeah, baby. I saw all the bands. Yeah. It says the machine, made in 1973 by top university professors, has already seen several of its predictions come true, including the drop in availability of natural resources and vital minerals. Its sophisticated algorithm takes into account a variety of factors, including birth rates and pollution levels, to put forward estimates of what life will be like. At the time, its prediction for 2020 claimed that the planet's condition would be highly critical. Let me go down here. If we do nothing about it, the quality of life goes down to zero, an eerie news report on the supercomputers broadcasted. So, says because of pollution, now, I got to think to myself, all right, is there agenda here? The thing about climate change, the Earth is always in climate change. And we can't do a damn thing. Well, now I guess it depends if you got those who believe that we can manipulate weather. Well, if we can manipulate weather, then this is the game over. I mean, Because if you disturb the natural order of something, you're always going to have repercussions. Always. So it says the gloomy machine commissioned by the Club of Rome and dubbed World One warned that driving cleaner cars and lowering birthrights in such a small change, it's almost irrelevant in securing the survival of the world. Ouch. Let's go over here. Chatbot outlined 7 possible doomsday scenarios, with the first involving natural disasters. So this is another one. Catastrophic events such as a supervolcano eruption, a massive asteroid impact, or a solar flare could cause widespread destruction and significantly impact life on Earth, the bot said when asked by the Dallas Express. Now, those of you who follow Ben Davidson over Suspicious Observers, we know our sun is primed, baby, for a micronova, nova, supernova. Well, if it's a supernova, it's game over anyway. We might be able to survive the micronova, but we know it's going to happen. Our sun's done it before. We just happen to be the generation, so they say, that's moving into the queue. See, next up, it cited climate change, stating that climate change could be responsible for rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and food scarcity. Well, the weather events are, in fact, happening. I mean, I don't know who China pissed off, but holy crap, have y'all seen what's going on over there? I mean, God. And the food scarcity. Folks, there's something going on. I mean, all around us, we've got plants closing right and left. These are chicken processing plants, hog processing plants, beef processing plants. You know, because of the drought that this region, a lot of what the Midwest was in, the crops are going to be less than 50% of anticipated harvest yields. Well, you got the whole crap happening over there in Eastern Europe now. I mean, that's just nuts. Because why? It's disrupting the thing that humans should be most proud about, is the fact that we have this ability to equally distribute the resources of the world. Nope. Just like religion, I'm going to pass the offering plate. I had one usher literally said this. Person, you know, sitting there and just passed that plate, and the guy said, "Hey, dig a little deeper in your pockets and put something in there. No free rides." He was right. There are no free rides. All right, so he said these factors could disrupt ecosystems, displace populations, and threaten human survival. Yeah. The recent volcano up in Iceland. I mean, if you're looking up at a lava wall that's, you know, nearly 35, 40 feet high, that could be disruptive. The third scenario is all too familiar. Get this one. Highly contagious and deadly diseases have the potential to spread rapidly across the globe, causing widespread illness and death. While modern medicine and public health efforts work to contain such outbreaks, the possibility of a highly virulent and untreatable pandemic remains a concern, according to ChatGPT. Nuclear war is seemingly another probable threat to the longevity of humanity, according to Chatbot. The immediate effects of a nuclear war would include the immense loss of human lives in the targeted area, as well as the destruction of infrastructure and the disruption of essential services. Well, you know, if we hit it with a solar flare, I mean, if we happen to be in the path of, let's say, an let's just really go out there, an X25. It'll be a bad day for your iPod and everything else. Yeah. Says nuclear explosions can also have long-term consequences, just like policy. The release of massive amounts of energy and radiation can cause severe environmental damage, including the contamination of air, soil, and water resources. This contamination can have long-lasting effects on ecosystem, agriculture, and health of the body of both humans and other organisms. Yeah. Says, interesting, chatbot said that nuclear war would not necessarily spell the end of humanity. While a large-scale nuclear war would undoubtedly have catastrophic effects and cause significant global instability, it's important to note that it does not necessarily mean the complete extinction of all life on Earth. However, I wouldn't want to buy. I mean, that's one of the things about, as survivalists, I just go, what kind of place is this going to be? Yeah, Thunderdome, huh? However, the aftermath of such an event would be devastating, and the road to recovery would be long and challenging. Yeah. Like potentially thousands and thousands of years, right? Says, displaying some self-awareness, Chat GTP said, the rise of artificial intelligence is another apocalyptic scenario if not properly controlled or programmed with human-friendly values. Now, when I read stories how the Pentagon and DARPA are going out and funding these AI startups, if I wanted to get back into the business, I have plans that I drew almost 2 decades ago on artificial intelligence. The thing is, it ain't being programmed by nice people. I mean, this has got Skynet, Terminator kind of crap. Musk was right. This is the problem. And when you get government bureaucrats, politicians who have no idea what they're talking about or anything else, do you know how many people in the current class of Congress can't figure out how to even get email and do attachments? And they're making policy on AI? Oh, yeah, that's giving me the warm and fuzzies. Here's another one. Here's Bard's prediction about the end of the world. Bard, the AI tool developed by Google, also has its take on what the end of the world might look like. According to AI, there is no definitive answer to this question, as there are many different theories about how the world could end. Some of the most common theories include cataclysmic events such as supernova, an asteroid impact, or a pandemic that could end human civilization. Climate change could make the Earth uninhabitable, causing the extinction of humanity. A nuclear war could destroy the planet. The technology responded. However, what most caught the user's attention is that Bard indicated that the one responsible for the end of the world would be artificial intelligence. An advanced artificial intelligence could decide that humanity is a threat and take steps to eliminate us. Don't you have the warm and fuzzies now? So there we go. I mean, again, there's monetary policy in the United States, and it's happening in the world right now. I mean, the BRICS are going to kick our ass. They're already kicking our ass. We seem to have the inability in our country to understand that fiat currency isn't going to work anymore. People don't believe in it. The only reason why we still trade in dollars here is because that's the only thing we know to trade in. All the systems and the infrastructure is set up for that. But when you begin to move in to the next evolution of currency, which in this case, unfortunately, is AI, digital currency. And folks, if you don't think the two are not connected, well, you're entitled to your thoughts. I can dig that. This is why a project that Dr. Stephen Gear, I think, is admirable. Because as I look on the landscape, it's not pretty. we're a positive group here. We're philosophers. We're thinkers. Some of us are witches. Some of us are wizards. Some of us are just, how should we say, we're on a mission and this is what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's got to be an alternative. Mine is just a small voice. With your voice added to that voice, it becomes a little larger. And as other voices are added to that, it begins to make a vibration. It begins to have impact. It has cause and effect. And I believe that there are at least 80 million humans. If they were made aware of everything that is already here, and that this is better than a turning to a religion of an unseen false God. No Jesus, no one's coming to save our ass. Here's the truth. I've said this before. If Jesus was to come back, you'd have half the world that would start worshiping him, the other half's going to kill him. That's why no God has ever manifested before humanity. We'll kill it. It's what we do. We kill what we fear. We kill what we perceive as a threat. Isn't it odd that the gods of the modern day Abrahamic religions all demand that you sacrifice to them human life? Now that's murder. Killing, murder are all one and the same. There's no mercy in it. It's barbaric. And if that's the highest essence of intelligence, that the best it can do, we're all screwed. The only one that's going to save us is ourselves. But it can't happen under current paradigms. It's too contaminated. There's too many people in power today that are contaminated. It's true. Their thinking is not like us. They serve different gods. Gets weird, doesn't it? Steve says, right. The idea of a God, do you know what that is predicated under? Slavery. It's a slave mentality. Get yourself free, folks. Well, most of us in this group are. There I go. And, talking to the group again. Yeah. Joyce Marie says, there are many gods, too many gods. That's the problem. Because in essence, each of us are our own god or goddess. I mean, that's why the thing about judgment. How can you ever be judged? Now, if you're being judged by a set of standards, laws, rules, then this is what I said to him. Well, shove that up your ass. If you wanted someone to do all that shit, well, I'll tell you what, why didn't you create someone to do that? Don't come to me and tell me that I failed on anything. Screw you. You're the one that failed, because if you're the dude who thinks that you know it all, man, you are really messed up, man. You need to smoke a joint, sit back and chill out and get out of the scene. Let us who come and clean up your mess, allow us to do our job so this whole thing can get back the way it was supposed to be. Just my opinion. That's all I got to say about that. And it's true. I said that to a minister, and you would have thought that he saw the devil himself turn white. He says, "Oh, I'll pray for you." I said, "Hey, save your breath. Don't need to." And then with the Kwanong, I get this article in my e-zine, and here it is talking about the power that, I saw in this whole, when I was meditating. It was like, wow. So I guess there's some real stuff like that. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that. Much love to you, darling. Appreciate that. Miriam, right back at you, darling. So anyway, I'll try to tune in tomorrow. Who knows? But yeah, we can. There has to be in a potentiality of unlimited possibilities. There has to be that one possible alternative that does get us out, that does help reverse this. And maybe it takes us just going to a different realm. I don't know. If only. There you go, Mary. Absolutely. All right, folks. So much love to you. I certainly enjoyed it. Colorful commentary, right? But I do appreciate y'all. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you all for subscribing. Yeah, and all that other stuff, right? Jesus, I have my car insurance. Okay. Oh, yeah, we can continue to talk on this one. All right, folks, I'm going to do my best to be here tomorrow. Much love to you. I so appreciate all of you. Thank you. And because you've enriched my life immensely. And you have the energy that has been received as gifts. They are the preciousness that there's no value to it. It's can't have value placed to it. Yeah, it's precious. But I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Right back at you. All right, everyone. Until we meet again. Much